let's say that the whole BlackRock scheme is a scam. Hey, let's create this ETF. Let's go buy up all the Bitcoin, and then I'll pass a bill and we'll seize it.
Any concerns about Saylor and the amount of debt he's raising and all these bonds he's issuing? I'm a bit worried there. Not that he's buying Bitcoin, just the amount of debt he's raising to buy it. All-time high, you're about 150, 160.
In this market analysis, we bring you a major update from Mark Yusko, who shares his latest insights on Bitcoin, BlackRock, and MicroStrategy. In a recent interview, he made some bold predictions, including his belief that Bitcoin is likely to peak at around $150,000. He also discusses potential risks, such as the impact of BlackRock's consistent accumulation of massive amounts of Bitcoin. Let's hear what he has to say about this.
Okay, now let's think about this for a second. If they were to do that, they'd have to get it through Congress. But let's say they could get it through Congress. It'd be kind of hard, but let's say they could. They'd be seizing it not from the drug dealers and the terrorists, but from the boomers who vote for them, the pension funds, the foundations, the widows and orphans who own the shares of those ETFs. But let's say they said, fuck it, we're going to do that anyway. As long as they don't get 100%, all the value of the network goes to what's left. So you got the million coins that are Satoshis. Let's say that never gets moved. So that's gone. There's another 3 million that's lost or stolen. So now we're at 17 million. So let's say BlackRock got 16.9 million. Well, I guess Michael Saylor has a million. So they get 15.9 million. All right. And let's say they canceled it. They confiscated it. Government, eminent domain, they took it. That 0.1 that's left, all the value goes to it. And it just gets divided up in Satoshis. That's why, when someone asked Satoshi about this in an email, saying, well, what happens if someone forgets their keys or forgets their seed phrase? It's like, consider it a donation to the community. And Michael Saylor said that his personal is going to be canceled and donated back to the community. Now, we'll see if that actually happens, but I'll take him at his word. But I think the likelihood that one entity could ever get all of it is zero. I mean, it's just impossible because they're not getting mine, right? They're probably not getting yours. And there's a few people that just aren't going to sell. And everybody says, well, there's a price at which you would sell. Yeah, there probably is. There probably is. And at that point, I'd have enough fiat that I could, be comfortable and do what I want. But even then, there probably are some people who say, it's not about the money. I'm never going to sell.
On the same token, as BlackRock, any concerns about Saylor and the amount of debt he's raising and all these bonds he's issuing? I'm a bit worried because I guess, is it leverage? I don't know. I'm a bit worried there. Not that he's buying Bitcoin, just the amount of debt he's raising to buy it.
Yeah, but remember, it's not like unsecured debt. It's debt secured by Bitcoin. The beautiful thing is he buys more Bitcoin than the amount of equity and debt he issues. So he's capturing extra value every time he does one of those transactions. And his debt has no cost and it's convertible. Look, leverage cuts both ways. You are 100% right to be nervous about leverage. But there's a level of leverage that is very prudent. And he's nowhere close to the high end of that. There's a level of leverage that's stupid, right? Think about a mortgage. If you put 20% down, 80% mortgage, 4-to-1 leverage, it's totally prudent. Why? Well, because you don't mark to market your house every day. Bitcoin, an 80 vol asset with minute to minute liquidity, probably 4-to-1 is a little bit high. So 1.5 to 1, 1.25 to 1, 1.8 to 1, whatever. There's some number that's probably right. Now, if you go to the Bitfinex guys or whoever the bad guys were that were doing 50-to-1 leverage or 100-to-1 leverage on Bitcoin. No, that's stupid, right? That's dumb. Yeah, I shouldn't out my little brother about this, but he called me up one day and says, they stole my Bitcoin. I'm like, what? So Bitcoin, like, stop. No one stole your Bitcoin. You borrowed way too much. You got a margin call. You couldn't meet it, and they took the collateral. That's not stealing. Now, if the purpose of the business was to do that, right, to lure people in to get over levered and then take their Bitcoin, okay, maybe that is theft. But no one twisted his arm to make that trade. Leverage is a very dangerous tool above a certain level. At an appropriate level, particularly asset-backed leverage, if I'm levering up a company that's all based on fashion and people's taste could change, that's bad. If I'm levering up a house that appreciates, it's actually a pretty good trade. We're about 13, 14% in, on the way to 100. And the next 8 years, we're going to go from 14% to 80. That's a mind blower, right? But that's how S curves work.
Right.
They start slow, takes 10 years to get 10%. And then you get another 80% in 10 years. And then the last 10% takes a long time. The adoption is going to continue to accelerate. The FOMO will kick in. It's not just FOMO. It's just most people haven't done the work.
All-time high, you're about 150, 160.
Yeah, I mean,
the Fibonacci and Elliott wave is showing a bit higher, but it's no.
I think we go 50% above fair value because of the gamblers. And because I don't think there's as much leverage this time. Usually we get 2 times fair value, so that would be 200. But I think we get to 150, and then we have the correction. And how much below fair value do we go next time? Probably not as far as the last 2 times where we got 50% below fair value.
Bitcoin's recent price dip has put the spotlight back on MicroStrategy, the company that holds a massive amount of the cryptocurrency. While the company's founder has long had a never sell philosophy, the CEO recently confirmed that a Bitcoin sale is now a last resort possibility. This shift in stance adds a new level of nervousness to the market. If the value of MicroStrategy's stock falls below the value of its Bitcoin holdings and they can't raise money elsewhere, they might be forced to sell some of their crypto. It's a moment of financial tension for the largest corporate Bitcoin holder. Remember, Bitcoin is not a stable investment like a bank account. It is highly speculative. If you are a long-term holder, try to ignore the daily noise. But if you're thinking of jumping in now, remember the golden rule. Only invest what you are completely prepared to lose. Do not bet your future on today's price action. Ever wish you had learned about Bitcoin sooner? Now's your chance to make smarter choices for your kids or young family. This teen's ebook is perfect. Link in the description.